Saturday evening, Washington, D.C., the Washington Hilton. Hundreds of people in formal dress, journalists, cabinet members, senators, the President of the United States and the First Lady, the annual White House Correspondents Dinner, a tradition that dates back more than a century, a night when the press and the presidency occupy the same room. At approximately p.m., the dinner had just begun. A man in black clothing stepped out of a 10th-floor hotel room. He had checked in 2 days earlier. He had traveled by train from Los Angeles cross-country, 4 days, through Chicago, arriving in Washington on Thursday. He had booked the room on April 6, 3 weeks of planning, 3 weeks of preparation, a shotgun, a handgun, several knives, all carried in a black bag. He took an interior stairwell bypassing the heavily monitored areas of the hotel. He walked toward the foyer leading to the dinner's red carpet, and then he ran. Hotel surveillance footage released by Trump on social media within hours shows a man sprinting through a security checkpoint. Secret Service agents spin around, weapons drawn, shots were fired. A Secret Service agent was struck, protected by a bulletproof vest. Inside the ballroom, hundreds of guests heard muffled pops. Secret Service agents surrounded the president and the vice president. They were ushered out of the room. Journalists and guests crouched under tables. The suspect was apprehended at the scene. His name is Thomas Allen, 31 years old, a mechanical engineering graduate of Caltech, a computer science master's from Cal State, a teacher. From Torrance, California, he had left behind what the White House is calling a manifesto. Its contents were direct. Administration officials, quote, not including Mr. Patel, would be considered targets, prioritized from highest ranking to lowest. He had traveled cross-country with weapons. He had booked a room in the same hotel as the president. He had a plan, and America is now asking a question that has no comfortable answer. What has this country become that a 31-year-old engineer from California decided the only way to fix the world's problems was to walk into the room where the President of the United States was sitting? Before we go any further, I want to ask you for things, and I want to explain why each one matters. Subscribe to this channel not because I am asking you to, but because what I am about to tell you about Cole Allen, about what his manifesto reveals, about what this moment says about the state of American democracy. This is the analysis that goes beyond the headline. Subscribe and activate the bell so you are here when the next development breaks, and leave a comment. Tell me where in the world you are watching from. Let me begin with the man himself, because the coverage of this story has focused, understandably, on the security failure, on the question of how a man with a shotgun got within range of the President of the United States at one of the most heavily secured annual events in Washington. That question matters. I will address it. But the question I find more significant and more troubling is the question of who Cole Allen is, because Cole Allen is not who we expect. Cole Allen graduated from the California Institute of Technology, Caltech, in 2017 with a degree in mechanical engineering. Caltech is one of the most prestigious scientific institutions in the world. Its admission rate is approximately 3%. The students who graduate from it are among the most intellectually capable people in their generation. He then went on to earn a master's degree in computer science from Cal State Dominguez Hills in 2025. He was 31 years old. He was a teacher. He had no prior criminal record that has been publicly disclosed. He had purchased his weapons legally: a shotgun in August 2025, a semi-automatic pistol in 2023. His sister told Secret Service and law enforcement that he had a tendency to make radical statements, that his rhetoric constantly referenced a plan to do, her exact words, something to fix the issues with today's world. She also confirmed that he had stored the weapons at their parents' home without their knowledge. His family knew something was wrong. They did not know it was this. I want to be direct about something. Cole Allen is not the profile of political violence that American discourse has trained itself to recognize. He is not a militia member. He is not a foreign national. He is not someone with a documented history of mental illness or prior criminal conduct. He is not someone who was on a watch list. He is a highly educated, technically sophisticated young man from Southern California who decided, for reasons that the manifesto he left behind begins to explain but does not fully answer, that the officials of the Trump administration were targets that needed to be eliminated, and he traveled cross-country by train for days with weapons and a plan to do something about it. The acting attorney general said Allen was targeting administration officials, Trump said Saturday. Night it was unlikely linked to the Iran war, he added, and this is his exact phrase, "I don't think so, based on what we know, what we know as of Monday morning is incomplete. What we know is that Allen left a manifesto explicitly targeting administration officials. What we know is that he made a $25 contribution to a Democratic PAC in support of Kamala Harris in 2024. What we know is that his sister described a young man whose worldview had become increasingly focused on fixing a world he believed was broken. What we do not yet know and what the FBI investigation over the coming weeks will try to establish is the specific ideological framework that produced his decision, whether it was the Iran war, whether it was economic grievance, whether it was something more personal and less political. What we do know is that this is the third serious attempt on or near a sitting American president in recent years, and that pattern, regardless of the specific ideology of each individual actor, tells us something about the temperature of the country in which we live. Now let me address the security question, because the manner in which Cole Allen got as close as he did to the President of the United States raises serious institutional questions that deserve serious answers. The Washington Hilton is not a random venue. It has hosted the White House Correspondents Dinner for decades. Secret Service knows this building. They plan for this event every year. They establish perimeters, screen guests, control access points. Allen was a hotel guest. He had checked in on Thursday, 2 days before the event. He had booked his room on April 6th, 3 weeks before the dinner. That booking was made under his real name. He was on no watch list. He had committed no crime that would have flagged him for additional scrutiny. He took an interior stairwell to bypass the most heavily monitored areas of the hotel and emerge on the level of the dinner's foyer. Secret Service Director Sean Curran said Saturday night that, quote, multi-layered protection worked. Trump was evacuated. No serious injuries beyond the agent struck in his vest. By that measure, the system did work. The innermost layers of protection held, but the question that security analysts, lawmakers, and the American public are now asking is different. How was a man with a shotgun, a handgun, and several knives able to get onto the same floor as the room where the president was seated? The answer appears to involve a gap between two layers of security: the outer perimeter, which screens guests entering the event itself, and the inner hotel, where any paying guest had legitimate access. Allen was not trying to enter the dinner as a guest. He was exploiting the fact that he was already inside the building. He used the hotel's interior stairwell, accessible to any registered guest, to move between floors without passing through the security checkpoints designed to screen people entering the event. This is a vulnerability that, in retrospect, seems obvious. It is also the kind of vulnerability that is genuinely difficult to eliminate without effectively converting an entire hotel into a secured facility, which would require screening every person in the building, not just those attending the specific event. Former Secret Service agents and security analysts interviewed by multiple networks on Sunday said the Washington Hilton's configuration has long been a concern. The building's layout creates access challenges that are harder to manage than venues purpose-built for high-security events. The question of whether the White House Correspondents' Dinner should continue to be held at the Washington Hilton rather than a facility with more controllable perimeters will be debated in the coming weeks. It is a legitimate question. I want to step back now from the specific details of Saturday night and say something about what this moment means in the broader context of the country and the world. America is, as of this writing, in the middle of a war that the majority of its citizens did not vote for, and a significant majority of its citizens do not want to escalate. It is managing diplomatic negotiations through a Pakistani army chief acting as intermediary between two governments that will not acknowledge they are talking. Its gas prices are at levels not seen since the last major energy crisis. Its Congress is failing to fund its own security services, and at the annual gathering of the press and the presidency, the ceremonial occasion that represents, however imperfectly, the relationship between power and accountability in a democratic republic, a man with a shotgun came within one stairwell and one security checkpoint of the president. Trump said the night of the attack that he likes not to think about the danger, that he leads a pretty normal life, considering that he thinks he handles it as well as it can be handled. I believe him. What I do not believe, what the evidence of Saturday night does not support, is that this is a normal moment in American political life. 3 attempts on or near a sitting president in recent years, a Congress that cannot fund DHES, a secret service working without pay, a 31-year-old teacher and engineer from California who traveled 4 days by train with a manifesto and a shotgun, Edmund Burke, whose understanding of how societies hold together I have returned to throughout my career, argued that the health of a republic depends on the strength of its institutions and the shared commitment of its citizens to the norms that make peaceful political life possible. When those institutions weaken, when the norms erode, the space for political violence expands. I observe, without partisan intent, that the institutions of American democracy are under more simultaneous strain than at any point in my 4 decades of watching them. And I observed that Cole Allen, a Caltech graduate, a teacher, a man his own sister described as increasingly focused on fixing the world, is the product of that strain, not its cause, its product. That distinction matters enormously if America is serious about understanding what happened Saturday night and what might happen next Saturday evening. The Washington Hilton, a man in black clothing, an interior stairwell, a shotgun, a manifesto, shots fired, a Secret Service agent struck in his vest. The president rushed from the room, journalists crouched under tables. A 31-year-old engineer from California charged today in federal court with attempting to assassinate the President of the United States. He faces life in prison. His sister had told law enforcement he wanted to do something to fix the world's problems. I have spent for decades observing how democracies hold together and how they come apart, and I want to say something directly. The question this moment demands is not only how Cole Allen got onto the same floor as the president. The question is, what kind of country produces a Caltech graduate who concludes that a shotgun in a hotel stairwell is the answer to the world's problems? That question has no easy answer, but it is the question that deserves more than a security debrief and a congressional hearing about metal detectors. It deserves an honest reckoning with the temperature of the country, with the state of its institutions, with the gap between the America that its founding documents describe and the America that Cole Allen and the 2 serious attempts that preceded his apparently experienced. Trump said Saturday night he handles the danger as well as it can be handled. I believe he is right about the personal dimension. Whether America is handling the institutional dimension as well as it can be handled, that is a different question. And the answer, on the evidence of Saturday night, is not yes. This is Respect B. Tell me in the comments, where in the world are you watching from today?